There are many different types of keyboards out there. My favorite is the TKL form factor. I feel that the full form factor version with the number pad on the right side takes a little bit too much space on my desk. The TKL form factor leaves enough space for the mouse on the right side, so me being a right-handed user like it a lot. But there is another form factor which is even more compact than the TKL one, and that's called 60%. It essentially only has the alphanumeric keys, and in some cases it has the arrow keys as well, and all the other keys that we are used to can be accessed with a keyboard shortcut. I'm good with my TKL keyboard for now, but if I were to look at a 60% keyboard as of now, say under a budget of 5000 rupees, then these four would be my go-to options. First up is the GK61 from HK Gaming. This is a pretty standard 60% layout without any dedicated arrow keys. It comes with Gateron optical switches and they are hot swappable. Of course, you can pick between all the different variations like the brown, red, black, yellow, brown or blue, and you can swap them later down the line if you want. The keyboard comes with a detachable USB-C cable, so that's great. If the cable gets damaged, you can simply replace it with another one and the keyboard will continue to work. They've even included a plastic keycaps puller and a switch puller, so this is really meant to be customizable. They claim that it's even IP64 splash resistant, so that's kind of nice, I guess. My only gripe with this is that it doesn't have any height adjustment, so the height that you get, this slight inclination that you see on the side is all there is. It's kind of fine, I guess, once you're used to the inclination, but a typical two-stage height adjustment that we see with most keyboards, I feel it should be standard across everything. But that's just me. Let me know what you think. Next up is the MotoSpeed CK61. Aside from the weird brand name, the keyboard actually looks pretty nice. It's a standard 61 key RGB keyboard with the same USB Type-C port. And unlike the HK Gaming one, which uses superior Gateron switches, this thing uses the budget Automo switches, which we have come to expect from budget mechanical keyboards like the CBGK18 we have talked about. I've tried to keep this budget around 5000 rupees or less, but this one is pretty expensive. I've noticed that the keyboards get more expensive as they get smaller for some weird reason, maybe because of the structural constraints. But that's something you kind of expect once you get into the enthusiast level of the mechanical keyboard realm. I mean, this is something a hardcore mechanical keyboard lover would consider, and I feel like I'm becoming one. Next up is a rather unheard brand called Huo, and the keyboard is called the Z88. I kind of like this keyboard because it has some built-in cable management system for its USB-C port, which is on the back of the keyboard, and I mean on the underside of it. So in case you're sitting rather close to your monitor, which most of us are, these extra cable lengths should be easier to manage with this. The layout is a little different on this one, especially on the right side as you can see, but all the 81 keys, like all the other keyboards, are anti-ghosting keys, so I mean these are all meant to be gaming keyboards anyways. This one is a little more affordable at 4000-ish rupees, and that's why it comes with Automo red switches. They mention that it's Cherry MX red equivalent, but we all know that it's a budget variant of it. The only other switch that can match Cherry MX in quality and customization are the Gateron series switches that we saw with the HK keyboard. But the Automos are not bad. It comes in three variants, the red linear, which is my favorite, and there's a brown tactile and the blue clicky switches. And yeah, the switches are hot swappable. And finally, we have an option from a rather well-known gaming accessory manufacturer called GameDIY. The keyboard is called the Hermes E3. Since this is a gaming-oriented keyboard, the arrow keys are built into the WASD keys, which may not be everyone's preference. Like, I don't like this that much. I would have liked the arrow keys to be a shortcut that I can use on the right hand side like every other laptop or any other keyboard has, but I guess some people would prefer that. And of course I'm sure that once I get used to it, it'll be second nature to me. This is by far the weirdest, or rather the most unconventional keyboard in this list because the key switches don't exactly have a name. They look like reds, but I'm not sure which reds. They just say it's GameDIY certified. By their color, I assume that they're linear, but I'm not sure who manufactured them. And also they're soldered onto the front plate, very similar to what we saw with the Cosmic Byte Firefly. Also, the print on the keys is kind of weird. I mean, not all of them have been printed directly on the keycaps, meaning that the RGB doesn't shine through all of the legends that you see, which is kind of weird, I guess. The images that you see online are a little misleading. I mean, in real life it looks a little bit different. Only the main text can shine RGB light through it, and the function text only is printed on top of the keycaps. So be a little careful which keycap you use, because if the keycap doesn't have the legend printed on it, then you may end up being a little confused. But that being said, it's a pretty decent option to consider. And that about does it for my list. These were the top 4 that I could find myself using down the line if I were to purchase it myself. For the time being, I'm pretty happy with my CBGK18. The TKL form factor works fine for me, and if at any point if I decide to jump to a 60% keyboard, I'd most likely purchase one of these 4 in the near future. Unless of course something drastically better comes around or I decide to spend even more than 5000 rupees. Either ways, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think the 60% form factor is a bit too cramped? Like, some people don't like it because there are multiple layers of functions on top, and you kind of have to practice that a lot to get used to it. I work with just a couple of feet of desk space in front of me, and that's how I like it. So for me, a 60% keyboard makes all the sense in the world. but I don't see everyone fitting the same bill. But whatever it is, let's talk about it in the comments. Leave any ideas or suggestions down there as well. We'll look at it in another video. I'll see you next time. Cheers.